I got to go here. I hate to do this, but it's like you need to go to this dark place to win.
That's the gold right there, right? It's all about the viewership because then that creates that drama.
I was more nervous to play in that prelim game than I was to play in the finals against X Factor.
And I think this could be the thing that makes paintball really pop off, right?
Photographer of the year, let's hear it for Dan Shelley, Shellda Photos.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Shellda Podcast, where today I've got hot off the presses. I've got the most recent winner of the NXL Lone Star Open, Raney from Edmonton Impact. Welcome. How are you, man?
Good. How you doing? Glad to be here.
I mean, I'm doing well, but probably not as good as you. It's the trophy, like the beer throwing, the little blood that was out on the field with you guys too. Like, what a way to end that event. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy to see that. I thought I saw someone headbutt someone, so I thought that was it. And then I guess Dalton got a little too excited and hit Brandon in the forehead with a beer and split his wig a little. And he actually didn't get on his flight that night and went to the ER and got like 4 or 5 stitches because he's like, he didn't want this nasty scar. But I'm like, man, that's like an epic scar to have. Like this one right here, I got that from winning Texas, so. But yeah,
that's
pretty
that's
entertaining to see that.
Like, in that moment, you're like, oh shit, this sucks. But like you said, 5 or 10 years from now, you'd be like, oh, what's that scar from? Like, oh, I won this event. I had beer thrown at me. Like, it's just you'll have a forever cool story now.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, real quick before we get started, if you've been enjoying these podcast episodes, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It helps out a ton. Thank you so much. Enjoy this episode. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for doing this. I think you've been on the podcast tour. It seems like this week you're on play the game a few days ago and absolutely crushed it. Like, I love the direction that Tyler and Marcella went with you. And we're going to touch on some of those topics and go a little bit deeper into some of those topics on this one. But where I want to start is on that show, you were talking a lot about the Meta glasses, right? And like, they've just taken off for you. Obviously, if you're wearing them now, for folks that are not tuned in on YouTube and just listening in, but I remember for me personally, back when I was in college a long time ago, I did a project that talked about creating a football visor. And that visor had a camera in it. So like you could literally see like true POV for football. And I think at the time there was a game that came out. It was like NFL Blitz or something where there was you played from the quarterback's POV. And I just remember being so engrossed in it. And seeing you rock the glasses for Team USA and go live, like I couldn't stop watching. Like I had plans all that day, and like I just kept pulling up the phone every time I saw it go live. So like what you're doing, you are literally changing the game of paintball forever. Do you realize that?
I mean, hopefully that's cool to hear, because I've definitely, you look at guys like Marcelo and Tyler who play at like the highest level, and then they contribute so much to the game. Yeah. And then, maybe I take more of a selfish route and not contribute, don't have a brand, don't have a podcast, maybe post on, I get on these kicks, you get on the creative kicks where you're like, I'm going to post all these reels, and you do it. And then you're like, all right. And then like 4 months go by and you haven't posted a single thing on social media. So, but I have preached like the whole card camera about which, for poker, and like, that's what paintball needs. And then I knew this was out. Like I knew these glasses were out. I've seen people on social media using them for like non-paintball things. And then I was going out playing nightball with the HK guys and Marky, and they were talking about the Meta glasses. And I was like, well, go buy a pair and I'll wear them and I'll give you all the content. And then like the next week went, and I'm like, you guys buy them? They're like, no. And I was like, all right, screw it. So then the next week on the way up there, I bought them. And, it was like, at first I was like, not sure. And I played the first game and I couldn't see. I'm fogging up. I like
the lenses.
Yeah, I didn't know how long I could record. So I actually have like, it would have been an epic video because I like run out, move down the Doritos, push down the side. I can't see anything, and I see a guy's back, and I'm like, oh man, I have this guy's. And it's like, you're playing at random. So I'm not trying to just instantly come out, rip him. So I'm taking aim, about to shoot slow, and all of a sudden, whoom, just hits me right in the face. So it would have been sick because I think some of the best shots are when you get shot.
Yeah.
The problem was the video cut out 2 minutes before it, or like 30 seconds before it, because I didn't know how to use the voice activation and I didn't know how long it lasted. So I'm always pressing it before I went on the field. And then eventually I started to press it like right before the game at one of the practices. I have my goggles up, I press it, put the goggles down, and then I get the maximum 3 minutes. But now, like last weekend, one of the Arsenal guys, Sean Sacedo, he like walked me through how to talk to Meta and actually capture the video well, So the captures are like, to me, it's like for $320. And now they came out with a new pair yesterday. They came out Generation 2. And then I knew they were going to come out with one that's going to have a display. So the glasses will have a heads-up display, shows all the things. Those come out September 30th. There's another pair on Oakley coming out where the camera's here in the dead center.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So those are pre-ordered. So there's like a bunch of things coming out, and it's like the timing couldn't be better for paintball to start to jump on the bandwagon of using these.
Okay, before we go any deeper into this episode, I just have to take a moment and give a huge shout out to my show sponsors. First and foremost, Hormesis. They have been with me since day one. I just picked up this new polo at the NXL Lone Star Open, and man, it's like it's all what my closet is made of. It's all the dry fit material. And so having a polo that I can wear to work, I can wear to the field and not have to worry about sweat because it's sweat wicking. This might be my new favorite shirt I have in my closet. And then secondly, with Hormesis, I finally got a hold of my new Hormesis Shellda headbands. Yes, we're doing an exclusive run of these. Stay tuned. At some point, these are going to be posted on Hormesis's website, and they're going to go crazy fast because the colorway on these is just unreal. I haven't seen a lot of gold in their headbands yet. So really excited for this to drop. And then my second show sponsor, bfpgear.com. Man, they are just absolutely crushing the online space and the retail space. Right now at bfpgear.com, they're doing sales. I feel like every week, every time I go to their website, there's something new that's on sale. So they're always doing things to help give back to the community and make paintball more affordable for the consumer. And then that brings me to my last show sponsor, ProDNA. It's been such a pleasure working with ZP, Travis, and the rest of the guys at ProDNA. One of my favorite ProDNA products that I have so far is actually, if I can pick it up, their XL gear bag. If you went to the NXL Lone Star Open, you know that grass was amazing to play on. But I saw a lot of guys struggling to roll their gear bags across that. Having this gear bag this weekend made it so easy to roll all around. And I was able to bring everything with me and have it all there in one bag. Go head over to bfpgear.com. Pick up the gear bag while it's in stock, while supplies last. All right, let's head back to the episode. Yeah, because I think it's exactly what we need, right? And the point that you made on the podcast with Tyler and Marcelo was like, hey, we're doing all these formats, right? We're doing 3-man, 7-man, 5-man, like you name it. Like Tom and the NXL are trying everything, which is great. That's where innovation comes from, right? But at some point, like, man, we've got to switch gears and try something else. And you touched on the game of poker. It's been the same game for, I don't know, decades, centuries, maybe. It's like a really long time, a really slow, methodical game. It's like, why? That made me think, like, why are we changing this beautiful game that we have? There's got to be some other avenue. And I think you were right. Having that card camera just made poker pop off. And I think this could be the thing that makes paintball really pop off, right?
Yeah, so like we're under this like paradigm, this thought of thinking like the earth is flat. Well, maybe the earth isn't flat, but now we're back to the earth is flat. But people are under this assumption that if we mess with the speed of the game, there's going to be this magic formula. And they could be right. I'm not saying they're wrong.
Sure.
Right? Nobody knows until it's we blow up. So, but I just want us to think like maybe we should think how to solve the problem of growing paintball in a different light. Maybe it's not even the game. Maybe like the POV is not even, catching 30 seconds of it. It's showing the lifestyle behind it. It's showing the stories. You look at how UFC blew up and like the training houses and the fight house and how that made things big. So I just want us to kind of look outside the box instead of messing with the game continuously, because they're like, we're going to go to 4 pods, and I'm all about going to 4 pods or 6 pods. But I've played with 2 pods and I've seen 4 pods and I've run a tournaments with 4 pods, and like the pace isn't going to change drastically. Yeah, people may not be shooting bounce shots, but people will still be doing the head check, the one ball head check, not wanting to make a move. Like even when you see people are down low on paint, people aren't just getting up and running.
Still the same thing.
Yes, and if we eliminate the assumption that having a fast game will just make our game more viewable,
yeah,
then we'll start trying to solve a different problem, which may be the problem that could blow up paintball. So that's all I think, I think we should look at.
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on. When I saw you do that, I had seen other reels on, Instagram and TikTok of like photographers doing something similar. And that's what kind of inspired me to start doing some POV versus the shot. And when I did that, my mind went to like, man, it's going to be so cool when I'm at this last week in the NXL on the finals. I turn my camera on and whatever team wins, I capture them like celebrating and like turning that into content. Imagine like the player's perspective, like that winning moment at World Cup, and you look and the stands are going crazy. Like you look back and players are running at you celebrating. Like I get goosebumps thinking about that potential content that we could have from there. Like that would be such a cool moment to capture that we can use anywhere. That's evergreen content to like show people, hey, this is what paintball is. This is like the pinnacle, where you could potentially be at one day.
I know. It eats at me just a little bit knowing that I was like, I was gonna wear the glasses all week, because like in Europe I wore them, and I was on Trojan's flight. Just coincidentally, he left on a Sunday to get out there, and I left on a Sunday. So we're on the flight, we're talking. I showed him the glasses and showed him the videos, and Trojan was all about it, right? Yeah. He got me a Wi-Fi. He got me onto Major League Paintball. He was like, hey, he was the one pushing me on the first match we played Mexico in the prelims on another field, and I was like, I was more nervous to play in that prelim game than I was to play in the finals against X Factor, just because you're playing for Team USA. You don't do that a lot, trying to represent. So I was like, I'm not going to wear these. I want to just like get in the flow of things, get the game going. Let's go. So I wear them the second game, and I didn't have the best game. And like the internal part of me wanted to quit wearing them and be like, let me just focus on the game. This will make me play. I don't want to deal with people like seeing me get shot.
Yeah.
I got shot in the face one game, and then I shot a guy, and then I got shot again. I was like, no, we're going to battle through it. And we'll make it entertaining. And then we ended up losing, which hurt more. But there were some games on there that were like, I think the Mexico game, I wish I would have loaded it up because I could have watched it. But like there was some chirping going on. People are chanting Mexico. It got heated. There's some overshooting. And it's like, man, that content was just so great. And then I'm glad I battled through it. So like coming to this weekend, I wore it for the 3-man for a couple for that. And I was like kind of told not to. But I was like, it's 3-man. No one's like really caring about it. But then on Friday, I didn't even fight it. I just took them off. I was like, you know what? I'll just focus. And then I talked with the guys, and it wouldn't have gone over well.
Yeah, I get it, right? Because there's so many things right now where it's early technology. And I think that you had mentioned previously on the other show is you can hear things, you can hear comments, and you could hear, it's like there could be a competitive advantage there.
So so everybody's gonna have to wear these ones or Generation 2. The display ones, it will show you comments, right? It's gonna read inside the glasses, and nobody can see it. So it could tell. Like before, when I was playing in Europe, I would be live on Major League, and I could hear people joining the chat or saying they left a comment, but I couldn't hear what they said. And then I'd hear the likes, so I would mute it because it was just annoying hearing like a like. But now, if somebody can tell me, like, hey, you can read it in there. So like, it's going to have to be, there's going to have to be like I don't know how to word it, but like the third party, like you're going to have to be on the Lux, the major leagues. You can't be on your own, and you can't use certain ones. Like you're not going to be able to use the heads up display. You have to use the Generation 2.
Yeah. But like having the technology there I think is the fundamental part of this, right? Because if we think of the NFL, for example, the quarterbacks and linebackers have that special microphone on their helmet where there's X amount of seconds before a play where the coach can talk to the player, and then those comms cut off. That's obviously managed by a third party, so there's no cheating in that from either side. Like that is where there's so much potential for this. Maybe you're out in the field and like the coach has, when they say 60 seconds, maybe the coach can talk to you guys for 30 seconds. And then at 30 seconds, that cuts out. Like there's just so much more element there that we could potentially add to this by having that technology. And then now, let's say we have all 5 guys wearing these, you're getting your POV. And then if we get, Go Sports or Verbal and Enrique and like mashing those camera angles up together.
I know. I almost told Sean Sasado, let's tell both our teams at practice not to shoot either one of us. Okay. And then we'll both go to the snake and we'll both battle and do whatever happens. But none of the other team will shoot us, and then we can, mesh our videos together, and it could be like this viral video of, us shooting the piss out of each other, or somebody like Shorty putting a good shot on me, and something like that.
Totally.
Yeah, about like with this, it's like actually I talked to Trojan in the beginning of the year and what about like different ideas, because we did this test event where they mess with the speed of the paint or the rate of the fire, these buzzards and whatnot. And my idea was, what if you gave one player a headset and the coach a microphone, and maybe not even the coach, maybe it's like a second guy in the tower, and then everybody knows, like, let's just say like I'm the quarterback, and now like if you kill me, I don't have the comms to the coach. I was like, and then the best part about it is not that like I get to communicate with the coach, is that the viewer gets to hear me talking to the coach.
That's the gold right there, right? It's all about the viewership, because then that creates that drama, because they can hear like all of this. And then if you get shot, it's like, oh shit, like now how is it going to play out? Like they don't have him. Like the statistics show when Raney's on the field, like here's what the chances of him winning are. It's like, there's so
or maybe you only give like every game a 30-second thing, but I don't really want to mess with the game, change the rules. But that was like my idea for that. I do think the industry has heard, they know about these, and I think it's only a matter of time until you see them in goggles and equipment, and everybody, and they get rid of the Bluetooth. They get rid of not Bluetooth, but like the communication, right? It's strictly just video, and there's no like, you can't talk on a phone call or anything like that, and then it's a lot easier for everybody on the field to be wearing them.
Yeah, totally. I think it's only a matter of time before someone, and I think I've heard HK is working on some type of cameras to get other perspectives, but at some point somebody's going to make a camera that is universal for your goggles, where we're going to have that technology, right? Someone's going to break it down to be able to use that to where it's built into your goggles. You don't have to worry about anything else. So I think we're really close to it. I want to get a different perspective on this, because, you had mentioned a few times, you're like, hey, I'm not big into social media. And it seems like this created a surge in you to like, now I can easily create content. And I kind of see that passion from you a little bit. And I've heard from a lot of people, which I agree with, that we need more content from professionals in the league, because that's where we see a lot of the behind the scenes and whatnot, like exactly like what you're doing. I had always thought it'd be a cool idea if each team was required, if, let's say you win a pro spot next year, you're required to have a social media coordinator. So someone that Jason and or Tom or Alex can talk to every week, who runs the account, the team account. But then also each team is required to post X amount of content per month or in between events. I think that would hold people to more accountability, and then it's just more content getting out there too. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I know like a while back, a couple of the companies, like I think 16, 17, were trying to get access to the players' accounts. Like, hey, we'll post on it. I think the players are like, nah, like this isn't. We definitely push back against that. But I mean, you need to post content. You see some of the big teams doing it. I don't know, like if you can enforce a requirement, but for me, this is easy, right? Like I do have some experience with photography. I have some cameras. I have some, red lenses. I shot with like some, I shot 10 by 10 black and white. I've shot some projects with Holga. I have a 35 millimeter camera I used to bring, but it's like, it's distracting to like bring the camera. Like I brought my 35 millimeter last year at a World Cup. I had a bunch of old film. I shot all the rolls, but the film's been old and sitting in like a drawer, so it's not like taken care of, and it just didn't come out. So like that, it was sad because shooting with film is kind of a gamble, but I sometimes get these kicks to bring it, but with these, it's just like, it's just not a thought. It's not a process. It's so easy. You don't have to like have this camera in your backpack and then pull it out. And then you're like, well, I'm not playing now. I'm focusing on taking pictures. So your attention's divided. So if you want to do anything in life, you're better just to focus on that one thing and ignore everything.
Yes.
Now, that may not be healthy, right? But that's how some of the best paintball players have gotten where they have. They've just been super hyper-focused. This doesn't actually, like if people are watching it, it, maybe gives away stuff. But it doesn't really hinder you to learn the field and practice. And if anything, it kind of makes you better because you go back, you look at like your shots, your mistakes, and maybe also too, I talked to someone like how you talk to people, how you sound. Like, man, did I really sound like that when I was arguing with my team about the field? You're like, oh, that hurts. That's cringeworthy. So you kind of have a better self-reflective look on how you are going to treat your teammates, and you're everything's being analyzed when you record yourself.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to look at it. Because I think I hear it a lot in divisionals, right, where like players will come off the field and the coach is like, "You're not talking," and the player's like, "What are you talking about?" And like, there's just some switch that players have where like when you're on the field, you think you're doing so many things and you're really not. And it's just sometimes it's complete silence.
Yeah,
like, to be able to have
your time like oh, I was doing this for so long. You're like, no, I wasn't. And like the pros are really good about it, but there's a few circumstances where I just like look back and the way I was talking, I was like, oh, I don't like that. That didn't sound good. I was like, all right, I'm not. I gotta be a little bit nicer. You're in the heat of things. You're super competitive, so sometimes you just you don't think things through. You just blurt what comes to your head.
Yeah, totally. Since you've had it on, what have you learned about yourself? Like, what have you learned about your game or you as a person?
Trying to think about the game. Maybe just the way I talk. Like.
Okay.
Sometimes I bounce my head around. Sometimes I'm not like holding eye contact. So that's one thing you learn. You're like, okay, this is seeing exactly where I look. So you really, when you're wearing them, you're trying just to hold eye contact, right? Where sometimes when you think your eyes may like over here, you're searching in the back of your brain. So you see that when you're wearing this, and maybe now you kind of try to focus on that. The other thing is, instead of, I hear somebody say something and then the thoughts are going, so you're thinking of words, what you're going to say, what you're going to go. And then before they're even finished, you're, like you're getting the words out of your mouth. So sometimes you just got to bite your lip, bite your shirt, sit there, soak it in, give it a few seconds, and then speak on what they said.
Isn't that crazy? Because like, I feel like that's probably one of the top skills as a poker player is like to be reserved and to like not jump and show what that next thing is for you. And it's like to hear that you're learning that is crazy.
Well, poker is different because poker you can just decide to go mute and put in headphones with nothing on and not talk to anyone. Paintball, it is a very team oriented thing, and that was a huge reason for our success this weekend. It was the energy. It was how we talked to each other. It was how we ate, how we got up in the morning, how we went to the field, what we did, how we analyzed the field, how every little way we treated each other adds into it. And I was talking to one of my buddies about the divisional and the owner and issues they had. And I was like, man, like you can't talk to people that way. Nobody can be like here and then here. It all has to be here. Everyone has to be accountable. Everyone's going to make mistakes. So you got to kind of come in with that even keeled attitude. And so paintball is, as a kid, I struggled with team sports. I played baseball. Mm-hmm. And when I played baseball, like it is a team sport, but it's not like basketball, where you're like, you got to pass it to people. Like you can go play outfield, you do your thing, you throw the ball to someone. That's the most team thing. You go up, you hit. There's a lot of individual stats. I mean, everything's individual stats, but like, you don't need someone to pass you the ball to take a 3-pointer. You're going to get your opportunities. So paintball is very team oriented, where poker's, it's actually, if you're friends at the table, you almost use that as your advantage and be like, well, I know stuff about you, so I gotta come after I need your chips. I need to beat your chips. I need to beat you and take that and put it into my stack. So you're like, man, I know you, maybe I know that this money means a lot to you, so I can bluff you more. So sometimes you can use those things to your advantage when you're playing against people, you know.
Yeah, I love that. I want to dive more into that. But before we switch over to, your profession in poker, you mentioned something that I would love to poke at a little bit of. You said, hey, this weekend went well because everything was clicking, right? Like we woke up and everything was there. We had this energy, everything was at the field. How do you now replicate that going into World Cup and future events? Like what's the mindset change going into that?
Well, I think the last event too, we were there. Like we found that gear and we were all kind of on the same page. You know, we there was a new team, new players, we kind of figuring out everybody's jobs and roles. And we came in that last event and everything was kind of flowing the same way. We were all having fun. Everything was going well. We almost won the 3-man, but in the 3-man, the players kind of overplayed a bit. Like we went away from what we were doing. It was just have fun, no pressure. And then in that Russian game, we got up and we kind of imploded in the pit and everybody played a part in it. So we saw that and we're like, all right, so let's not go there, and everybody's won. So it's not like it's a new thing to us. But we were able to go back to where we were at and like, we never touched that other element that made us implode, right? We were always just really focused on, things are going bad, whatever. We're down a body, cool. We're down a point, whatever. Like, let's just have fun. Let's enjoy this. And we'll understand that leads to success. And, I wasn't with them in the 3-man, and that's what they said that happened out there. They just played paintball. The coaches had fun. The coaches did their jobs. The players did their jobs. So it just, for this caliber of players, sometimes you just need that reminder, the reminder, the refreshment into your head of like, oh, these are the magical ingredients we need to make us win. Not just, the best players or the best this or the best that. It's just the little bit of magic sprinkled in here will put everything together. It's like you're almost like baking a cake, right? Like pro paintball. You can have all the right ingredients, but if they're imbalanced or there's not enough sugar or too much sugar, it just doesn't come out right. So you just need that perfect touch. And this weekend we had a perfect touch of everything.
Yeah. And, talking to Tyler after, it sounds like every event you guys are going to have to go find like a lucky tree and like someone's going to have to find like a 4-leaf clover. There's actually,
I caught that. I caught that too. I caught it all on that. Is one of my reels. I forgot. I have that loaded up. Gosh, that was ridiculous.
That was like such a funny story, because I had a different perspective at that. I was in the media tent. I had just come off for one of the matches, and I have to like edit a photo really fast to get to the league so they can use it for their scorecard. And my wife comes in, and she's there sun up to sundown with me. And sometimes like you got to kind of step away and unplug because paintball can be a lot. And she was like, "Man, I was sitting by this tree and it's nice and quiet over there, like it's away from paintball." And she was like, "Tyler comes over and he asked me to move." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Yeah,
that's right. I was there. I remember that
tree." It was just such a funny moment that then turned into, after you guys won, like Tyler talked about the lucky tree and all that. So it was cool that like I heard about that throughout the weekend, and then I got to see you guys keep going back over to that area the whole entire weekend.
Yeah, it's funny because it's just one of those things. You're doing something as a team. Everything you're doing is the team. Everyone's like the scratchers. The scratcher you're doing is the team. You're doing things as a team. With the tree though, I remember Dynasty one time had a tree when we were on Impact, and they were always going by it. So I made sure to make this like a loud, obnoxious noise, just to mess with them a little bit. Like, hey, we're over here. We're gonna play you in the finals.
Just a little things.
We're just jogging by them, and we ended up beating them. This was in Vegas. And, they were like, they all had blue on, they all looked nice. And, everybody was rooting for Dynasty. And then we were, all brown jerseys, kind of ugly looking. People hated us. And so I was kind of doing this high pitched terrorist scream, let's say it nicely. And, but yeah, I mean, there's something about this game's so mental and such a flow. So to be able to get over there and get away from paintball and just realize like, hey, it's us. Nobody at this event matters. Nobody here matters. It's only us in this circle, this group at this tree. This is what matters. Let's all get on the same page. We had our own little talks. Hey, let's go have fun. This is just paintball at the end of the day. Don't try so hard. And then it takes the pressure off you. You know, you don't overthink moves. Like we watched the Russians and Paintball Fit start attacking that middle. And then like, you know, Dave's like, hey, let's go here. And so he would set up plays for us. But then I also told Nick, like, dude, anytime you see it, just take it. If we lose, we lose. We've lost every tournament this year. So let's play to win, you know, and he was up there feasting in those spots, and JC was being himself. And so when you're all on the same page having fun, it just takes the pressure off, and you're never worried about making a move because no one's going to get on you. If it doesn't work out, you're like, hey, dude, he was doing it because he was playing to win. And that leads to a lot of success in this game.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And a lot of it, people talk to you at the highest level, like there's a gut feeling or like trusting that first mindset or like that mind's eye that some people call it. And that's what separates a lot of people from, you know, making that moment or that decision in that moment versus some people in, let's say maybe in divisionals, they second guess it or like, hey, it's open, but like there's just so much that goes into that really singular moment. Let's transition and talk about like how you use the paintball skills in your profession. And so 2-part question there, because I think some people know what you do for a living, but for those that don't, let's give the context there of what you do.
Well, I mean, I don't play poker for a living. I used to think I could be a professional poker player, but like I play, in my eyes, I play paintball for a living, right? Like I make money from playing paintball. I coach a lot. I coach a bunch of divisional teams. Lately I've been, you know, I think during COVID, like I was into stocks as a kid. My neighbor was a stockbroker. So I would actually, when I was like 12 or 13, I'd pay $75 for a trade. So I remember I bought Microsoft for my first trades. I bought like $600-700 when I was like 13 or 14.
Holy smokes.
And yeah, and I made money and then sold it, but I had to pay 150 in fees. And I think I made like $70 on top of the 150, you know, like it was just not worth it. But my uncle every year would buy me a share for Christmas. So I was always into stocks, but you couldn't do these trades. And then at the end of 2019, you could buy stocks on Cash App. Yeah. And I started, you know, somebody owed me money that wouldn't pay me my money for doing a clinic. 4 months go by, they still haven't paid. So they're like, download Cash App. I'm like, all right. So then I download, they give it to me. I'd never used the app. And then I look on it, I'm like, oh, I can buy micro shares. You can't buy all the stocks. You don't really own the stock. But I started dumping money into it. I was actually in Vegas and I was trying to win this poker tournament all year. And I was like, whatever I win, I'm going to put into Tesla. So that day that I said that I'd gotten second, third, seventh, not whatever, I won it. So I put all the money into Tesla, and then Tesla goes, you know, on a crazy run. And then COVID hits and there's nothing you can do but be on your phone. And so then I opened up an actual brokerage. I started doing, you know, everybody during COVID got, you know, you couldn't go wrong. Everything you picked went up. Yeah. Right. And then I realized I got lucky, but lately in the last couple of years, like doing options, but selling cover calls. So now, like, I don't really gamble, you know, like I don't really gamble in the market. Like I have a company and I just sell cover calls and that's it. And it kind of just almost like printing money. Like it's not a lot, but it's consistent. And if you kind of figured it out, it's, you know, easy thing to do.
But I think that the same principles apply to paintball, right? They apply to paintball. And I think when you used to play poker is you're having to understand the whole realm of it and make a risk-based call of, hey, I could put all my money in here, but I don't know if it's going to play out, but I think it will because of, and then you're making that chess game move, right?
Yeah, no, totally. Like in poker, like, well, depending on like a cash game or a tournament, I like tournaments, right? But in a tournament, there was a saying that said you have to do the wrong thing at the right time. Like maybe it's not the move that you should do with that hand, but you know, the universe is going to bless you for doing it. So sometimes you're like, you shouldn't have filled out into that, like Colt's gun, like Colt's in the middle and it's probably not the right fill, but I just happened to move when he was maybe talking. And I hit the right chord at the right moment and snuck out there. And then you kind of recognize like, no one's shooting at me. Yeah. Okay, he could shoot me going around, but you know what? I'm up money anyway, so screw it. I'm going to go for it. And there's always a chance you get lucky. And in poker, it's kind of like sometimes you got to, you know, if you don't get caught bluffing, you're not bluffing enough, right? But the good thing about bluffing is if you get caught bluffing, you still have a chance to win. Even if you go all in with a straight draw and there's only four, you have 8-9 and let's just say there's 6-5 out there. So you're chasing the 7. So there's 4 7s, right? And let's say there's 2, you're on the flop and there's the turn and river. So you have about 4 7s. You have about a 16 to 17% chance. It's just easy. You have 4 cards, you double it. That's 8%. And then you double it again because you have 2 cards. You have 16.
Yeah.
So you're like, if he calls, I still have a 16%, which is like what? A 1 in 6, 1 in 7 chance, like a little over 6, below 7 chance of winning. But there's also a chance he just folds, right? And that's what poker is about, is you don't want to always have to hit your hand to win. And like, if you can just steal chips and steal chips and steal chips, then it's only going to benefit you because you're never at risk. You're just like, there's a chance they call, but you're never at risk. And that poker is a game of risk, not chance. Like going to the casino and playing blackjack, you're chancing your money. This is the chances you'll win. At poker, when you buy in, your money's at risk, but you're not just running the chances, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. And thanks for following me and then going down this path. Because like, I want to now tie that back to paintball. Like when you're on the field, everything is chance and or risk based, right? Like if I make this move, there's a high percentage or low percentage chance I'm going to make it. But if I do, that sets me up for this. Do you use that same mindset on the field of like running through numbers, or even that quick percentage of like, hey, if I do this, this sets us up for a 25% more chance of winning?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I actually run that during the fact, but like after the fact, maybe like you could use that explanation. I just trust my gut.
Sure.
I explained this to someone one time. They're like, I think it was 2019. We were over in Amsterdam, and it was like Greenspan, myself, Archie, Spica, Marcelo, Blake. We're playing with the Golden State Kings.
Ooh, what a lineup!
I hadn't gone to the middle at all. We haven't won the tournament. They've gotten second. I played 2. I got a 6th, and then we won that last one. And we're playing the Russians in the final, and I kept battling this guy, and then I look out, and he wasn't there. And I was like, why is he not there? And then like all of a sudden in my head, it flashed like, oh, they're probably coming. Oh, I had this vision of the guy coming down her snake. So I just said, screw it, and ran to the center 50. And then also when I'm there, Blake looks at me and goes, poison. And I'm like, oh, that means he's on Kirill's looking Blake's way. And I just go through and bunker him and then get to their side, shoot them. We take the 1-point lead. They try to come down and they don't win. We win the tournament. Oh, these are dying on me. And you still hear me?
Yeah, I still hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So somebody asked me, why'd you make that move? And I'm like, I can't give you I've been battling this guy. He wasn't there. I've gone through it paintball enough where I know it's like, oh, I could make this move. And then when you don't make it, you go back in the pit and you're like, oh, I could have made that move.
Yeah.
So I just don't hesitate. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it's like the movie Donnie Darko where there's this like wormhole pulling you towards it. Like that's the best explanation. Like, just trust your gut and go for it, because like, let's say somebody's set up across field to watch that move. There's a chance even if they're looking there, they still don't hit you. They still have to make the shot. They still have to shoot the right lane. Their gun still has not to break. Their paint has to travel straight. The paintball has to break. The ref, so many things have to go in their favor to get you that like the person taking the risk is favored, right?
I want to push you a little bit on that, because that's the goal that I think for divisional players that are listening is I've heard a lot of coaches and people like yourself like, hey, just trust it, just like make that move. Is there anything that you've done or would recommend to players to practice that? So like when that moment or decision comes up, like they go and they don't think about it?
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a way to practice it. I know when I coach, like I brought in this guy to play with our, let's see. So I have a couple teams I coach, but this team I built was a D4 team. We started from scratch and we got second the first event. The second event we didn't do well, so we loaded up. We needed more guys. And I bring this guy and I'm like, hey man, like I need you to go up here, look this way, and do this job. And then like he's in the center 50 or center 40, and there's like a mirrored brick, and he knew the guy was there and he wanted to go get him, and I could see it, and he didn't do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, but he was worried I was going to tell him not to do it. I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm telling you, this is like the first 20 seconds. This is just the script of the song, like of the playlist. Like you can deviate, like just know if you go through and you live, keep trying to look this way, because this is the hole in the game plan. I don't want you not to go play paintball. Like if you feel it, go do it. And then, like that guy didn't play a lot in the prelim games. And then on are, I think D4, when you want to win a D4 tournament in Dub C, it is probably one of the hardest tournaments to win because you play 2 prelim games on Sunday, okay, and then minimum you're going to play 4 more matches, if not 5. So that is 7 to 6 matches at like somebody that's just doing this for fun. Yeah. So throughout that day, he went through and gave us probably 16 points where he just either tied it up, took the lead, made the big move, and balled out, and then we won that event. And then we won the next event, win the series. But it's just like you just can't, as a coach or someone, like if someone makes a move, there's like you can't criticize them, right, for making the move unless it's like a really atrocious, like, hey, there's one in Europe. I kind of got on our guy about it. It was 3 on 5. We had 2 on the snake, 1 on the Dorito, and it's in overtime. And then we shoot a guy, and our guy's all the way back in the Dorito corner. We had 2 on the snake. It's 3 on 4, and he's preventing people from coming down. And I was like, and there's like a minute left. I'm like, dude, just eat the clock up. Let's go to 1-on-1s. Like statistically, or like on paper, they're a better team. Those Luckies, and they've won an event and we hadn't. So we're playing them in overtime. I'm like, if we could play them 1-on-1 to win the match, that's great. And our guy made a move, and I'm not saying it was the wrong move. He missed the guy and the paint didn't travel right. And I'm like, a lot of things got to go right, but it's like, if you make those types of moves, you can't be wrong, yeah. So it's a very fine line of like being greedy or being too cautious, right? You don't want to overdo it and always just try to do moves and then be that guy that's, why are you doing this? You're always running through, always dying, or be the guy that never moves. It's a fine balance, and with the Billy move, I think I had hit it enough where I was on the cautious line, and Tyler and JC are like, dude, you're being a possum back there. Let's get up the field. And, so that was in my head, like, hey, I got to look for a move in the finals. I got to look for a move to help my team if I take over their role during one of these points.
Yes, thanks for breaking that down, because I think those are the intangible things that add up to greatness eventually, right? Like, as you were talking about that piece of the thing of like, man, earlier you said there's things that like you shouldn't do that you just do in those like high stakes moments that turn out to be like the defining moment. I think for some reason I flashed back to when Marcelo won Cup with Dynasty, I think his last year with them. There was that move he had like filled back at some point, and it was like, you haven't seen this all weekend, but for whatever reason, that moment like sealed the game for him. And so I think in that moment, like you're trusting that gut instinct. And I had Skinny Kevin on a few months ago, and he had talked about it too, of I'd rather somebody make a move, and then if they fail, we can then coach and talk about it, versus if you don't make that move, there's no discussions. We never saw how it played out.
Yeah, the what ifs will eat you. Like,
yes.
I have gone for it and made the move, and I'm trying to think when was it? It was 2014 maybe. We lost to Dynasty in the finals, and it was the right move. But I like, and Nick Laval was like, dude, you did it, but you rushed it. You could sense it. And I just went too fast, and I missed the first shot, and I could have got them all. But I was so excited to make the move that I was like, oh, so now like at least I made the move. It doesn't eat at me that I didn't make it. And now I can go back, all right, well, when I'm in this situation next time, just breathe, be calm, go slower, make sure I connect on the shot, and don't be overzealous that I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to do this. And then you get ahead of yourself,
Yeah. It's that same mentality for receivers, right? Where they catch that easy pass if they're already looking upfield, and then they drop it every time.
Yeah. They're thinking about something else. They're taking themselves out of the moment, and then they didn't even live in the moment. Yeah,
for sure. Let's shift and go a little bit deeper into Impact. One of the highlights for me, and I haven't had a chance to go back and watch the broadcast yet, but when you guys played Damage this weekend, like that was probably, in my opinion, the most intense game that I was on the field for all weekend. Everybody was hyped up for that. Like you saw Mouse he was chirping. He was walking up the field in between points. I saw you were chirping quite a bit about it too. Talk to me about that whole entire situation, because I think when players come together, right, like, hey, we're going to form this team, but then players start to leave, and then there's always what happens in that moment, and then that, hey, we're going to have to play each other eventually at some point throughout the year. Like, talk me through what goes through your mind during that match.
Well, I knew, like, Saturday, we were sweating.
Yeah.
The wild cards were doing the math, and I'm like, look, they made it in, guys. Like they're like, oh no, and I was like, trust me, I coach divisional, so you got to know the points scored, points against. For pros, it's points against first, then points scored. We're divisional, it's the other way around. And I was like, the universe, we're gonna play them. I'm telling you right now, we're gonna play them first game. And then sure enough, like I'm watching the Tauntauns play them, and they win the first point, and then the second point, Fedorov makes a great kill, and they're up a point, they're up a body, and then they blow it, right? And so Damage actually did the exact same thing. They got up a point, they got up a body, and then they lost. I mean, I wouldn't say they blew it. I got a very lucky shot on Marcelo. I shot this bounce shot off the tower, which I was trying to get into the mini W.
Was that crazy ball he talked about in his show, right?
Yes, but I would go up and down on the bunker, and I got shot the same way. The ball came over and hit me when I was in the mini W. So we're down a body, and if you think about it, like after the fact, but it's like it's not why I did it, but we're down a body, so I'm like, I'm going to play a little more lawless. But now he's probably looking around like, okay, we're up a body. They shouldn't be doing this. And then all of a sudden I'm just shooting it. And that ball, I see the ref do this, the head. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that worked. I was like, I shot him. I shot him. But yeah, I mean, so I knew going to that match, I'm like, man, this could be a heated match. So I'm like, I'm okay to do that, right? Like, I think it makes it more fun when things get heated. It's like when I'm at I was up at LA. Between the last event and this event was a long break, but I was at the paintball field every single weekend, whether I was coaching or playing. I had one weekend where I booked 3 nights up in LA and just played poker. And I'm playing, there's a bunch of good tournaments. So I'm playing this tournament, and there's a pro there, and his other buddy's a pro. And the summer just finished. Like the WSOP, it's like is in Vegas. It's like 2 months, and there's 50 tournaments throughout all the casinos every day. So they're there, and the guy's complaining about how like he didn't have a good summer and and he's like, man, the structure of this, he's just complaining. And then anytime he said something, he was like, he tried to guess my hand one time. He was just like kind of talking a little shit. And I'm like, man, in my eyes, I'm recreational. So like there's a saying in poker, like, don't tap the fish tank, which means like, if you don't want to mess with the fish, if the fish are burning their money playing bad, don't go give them advice at the table. Like, let them burn their money. Like, I want to burn my money. Let me burn it how I will. But he started, like, he said something, and I was like, it's like almost like getting hit. You're like, oh, okay. Like, I'm focused on you now. You gave me a reason to be focused on you, and I'm focused on his buddy. So then, sure enough, I knock his buddy out, and before I even turned the cards over, like, I made it look like I was bluffing. I just bet, and went all in. And then he's talking, and then his buddy calls, and then the pro talking shit was like, oh, yes, he guessed the cards. It was horrible. I had the nuts. And I just like, no reaction, turned the nuts over, scooped all the chips in. Like, usually, like, it's like you should wait till they show their hand. But I was like, you can't beat me. So I just reach out, grab him, little egotistical, which is a little jab.
Little play.
And then, and then I ended up knocking the other pro out. And we battled, and then he would say something, and I just chirp right back. So it's like, it's the same thing when we're playing this. It's like, if you want to play games, right? I didn't start it, but if you want to chirp, then I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's have fun. Let's have some, let's chirp at each other. And I think we were down the second point, 4-on-5, shot Marcelo. Tyler pushed Jacob out wide. We're not sure. Like, it looked like he could have shot Jacob, but I just happened to be down the wire on the Dorito side. Yeah. And Jacob just was like, to me, he just overslid. But I was like, why do you do that? Because Tyler picked him up. So I shoot Jacob, and then there's this chaos. I don't know who it was, but somebody caught it where it shows JC bunkering Keith, Mouse shooting JC, Tyler shooting Mouse, and that all happened that point. And then I guess I stepped out and shot Sheer, but in the moment I didn't know it. Yeah. So that happens. We pull back that point, and now I'm like, okay, like, hey, I start chirping a little bit, like, hey, go pot up. It's on. The game is on. Go pot up and come get some more. And it kind of got heat. It got more and more heated from there.
Yeah, like that was, I think for me, that game is probably in the top 3 matches that I've been on the field for this year. Just like the intensity wise, like I felt it. Like I felt, Mouse chirping, and then like you said, then I started to hear you. I'm like, oh, okay, like Raney's feeling this. Like this is gonna be heated, Like, and as a photographer, my job is to set up to capture moments. And so, like, if a team's winning, I'll start to like kind of swing to their pits a little bit to get like somebody running at me or some type of emotion. But I got something that I actually, in the moment, I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. But then when I I didn't realize it until I went to edit it. I was like, oh, this is a moment. I want to pull it up here, and I'm sure you know exactly where I'm going to go with this, but I want to get your thoughts on this picture. And so I'll put some context for people that are not watching on YouTube. Mouse just like ran down the field, hit the buzzer, and so Mouse has his hands on his buzzer, and in the foreground, Raney he has his hands up and he's like celebrating. So like, talk to me about this picture.
Yeah, so that was the last. So we're up 1-3. There's about 55 seconds, and I was just in front of their pit, playing on the snake side. And I love Keith, right? Like, Keith called me up. He's like, "Hey man, I need 10 grand to bail me out of jail." All right, I got you, dude. Like, and I shoot him on the wire, and he walks off. I shoot him a few times. Just, you know, when you're in that mode, it's like everybody gets it. It's not personal. And then Joey's chirping at me from the sidelines, and then I'm chirping at Joey in the middle of the point. And then the buzzer rings. We say some things, and then so that they're down 54 seconds. So you know they're coming, and we shoot 2 on the Dorito. Then we shoot another guy, and then Keith's in our wedge, and I keep missing him. And Mouse coming down the snake, and it's like Brandon's in the Dorito corner, and he core samples, so he can't get anything out. I'm in the home, and I'm like just trying to eat up time. I can't get my pot up fast enough. I didn't know we killed Marcelo. I knew we shot Sheer and Jacob. So I'm like half like popping the top, like, where's this other body? I see Mouse wrapping her snake. I'm like trying to shoot them off. I'm like, dude, they're gonna like, it's coming. Like they're gonna come get me. So I'm like, I'm gonna hide. I'm like trying to lay prone, wrapping the home. Keith misses me. Then I go back, miss him. Then I go prone again. He shoots me. I'm running off the field. Mouse is running down it. He's shooting me. You know, rightfully so, because I shot him. Sure. So he's like, I know it's coming. So he's shooting me, running off. I'm like, I'm getting out of his way. He shoots Brandon, and then he hits the buzzer. And I look back at the clock, and I'm like, it's 2 seconds. It's over. We win. Yeah, you shot me, but I'm like, we won. So that's that. You know, it's just, I think I hit right there. I hit the high. There's like a high pitched laugh I do.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I threw that right there, and just I just put my arms up in celebration, more of like we won to him.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even think I put my arms up like that when we won the tournament.
I don't think you did either.
No, like, that one it was heated. Those are one of those matches where the match is over and your adrenaline and your dopamine, it is, you're still juiced. Like that is those types of games give you the most insane rush.
Yeah, that's what I love, because like sometimes like the quietest person on the team, like they just become a whole different person. It's like their emotions just take over, and like they just, all of it comes out. And so that was just such a special moment to capture. Like, it's so rare that you see a team hit a buzzer and then see the other person on the other team like celebrating that. It was so cool.
Yeah, no, and it's also good too for me, because it's like a reminder. I'm like, okay, like this is, I got to go here. I hate to do this, but it's like you need to go to this dark place to win. So it's like, and that was a good reminder for me. It was like, I play my best when I get to this mode. So it's like, okay, so I found that place again in my head. So I didn't let go of it. I held it for the other 2 games. You know, you try to hold on to that. And that's, you know, you'll see people not talking in between their games, or not looking, or not wanting to have conversations. You're just kind of hyper focused and trying to lock onto that feeling. And it's like Mike Tyson talked about it. He used to say before he goes into a match, he would cry. And he's like, they're like, why? And he's like, well, I'm about to transform to somebody I don't like, you know. Wow. And and that one hit, and it I hear that one, I save that, and I listen to that one. I'm like, yeah, you're about to transform and maybe do some things you may not be the proudest of yourself about.
Yeah. Is there like a certain playlist or music that you go to get into that mode?
Oh, it's funny because Brian Brand's like, what was the song? So I usually have a song every event, or multiple songs. And I'm like, I listen to it on repeat. When I'm training, stretching, working out before the event, I'm listening to it. Then I get to the event, and then it like plugs you into that mental space that you've spent, 20 days, mentally training. Like, right. Like you're like in that mode, maybe like 10 o'clock at night at your own place. You're like, man, if I could play right now, I would destroy the world. But then it's like Sunday, it's day 4, you're tired, you're like, and you're like, all right, man, you're a little beat up, you're not mentally tough. And then all of a sudden you hear it and it clicks and you remember everything and you go through all those thought processes, and now you get this surge. And it's like, it's almost like how Tyler, one of the points I came in, I told Tyler, like, all right, I need one. I'm down. He's like, no, you're not. You're back in. Because
I remember
that. I was like, all right, you're right. You know what? Like, fuck, F this.
That was the finals.
That was right, and it was it's just that thing, you know, like you hear these stories of like a mom where the kid got stuck under a car and she hits this like crazy absurd amount of strength to lift up, and it's like something in your brain just wires your body, just give you a juice of energy, and it's kind of the same way.
I'm gonna get crucified if I don't ask you what the song was.
I didn't have a song this time. That's what Ryan was like, what's the song? And I'm like, there was a Lil Wayne song that I've been listening to, but I didn't really listen to it this event. It's like he talks about everything's to be all right or something, like let it all play out. You probably heard the reels. Let it all play out.
Sure,
but yeah, I didn't really have a song this event. I didn't really. I mean, the meta glasses were just kind of like the distraction. So I didn't really have one song that I listened to a bunch. I think I listened to a little bit of music. We had that long break before finals. I was over in VIP and I just went through some old songs. Like I have one Superstar that Sean O'Malley was using when he would use his entrance. So two years ago when we were in Chicago, I was listening to that, and that was the whole thing. And like Sean O'Malley was just working people, so I listened to that on repeat. So I'll go touch on songs. Like I could tell you this song at this event was the one I listened to. There's a Heaven and Hell song by Kanye, and it's like I saw Dennis Rodman. I posted it again. Dennis Rodman like has this highlight reel of him with that song, and that one gets me juiced up, you know, because it talks about going to Chicago. Usually the fourth event you're going to Chicago, so I was just like the whole weekend I kept thinking I was in Chicago, not Dallas. So,
that's gotta be weird.
Yeah,
because a lot of Dallas songs are probably like country music, if I had to guess, and I don't know if that'll get you going.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Thanks for breaking that down, because I think that match was at the end of the year when we have like the, you know, if they do the Summit Awards of like what was the match of the year, for me that's in the top 3 or 4 already. It was just such an iconic match.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like, you know, Marcelo really wanted to win. He's playing against Tyler. I mean, those guys, now they got to go do the podcast. You know, he doesn't want to lose, you know, and then he was on our team. He's not on our team. And it's like, there's a lot. And then, I mean, I played on Damage 2 years ago. So like, they want to beat me. I want to beat them. And it's not like I don't have any bad blood towards Damage. Like I left on good terms. I love all those dudes. Those dudes are a great group, but it's just like, we're not playing for a bunch of money when we play these tournaments. So when you're playing, it's like you're playing for your ego. You know, you don't want to give the other team the satisfaction of beating you, and that's truly what this game comes down to.
Yeah, I'm sitting on a picture of the post game. I've got a picture of Marcelo and Tyler doing a handshake, and it was very quick, just like on to the next. There's which is straight business. I was like, oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I want to bring up one more picture because I want to make sure I'm valuing your time too. But I want to bring up one more picture, and then I have one more question that I do at the end of my podcast here. So this picture, and I don't think you've seen this one yet, but I just want to get your initial reaction. This was right after the celebration like just happened, and I looked over, and you had given a huge hug, and just like I just saw him embrace you like a kid. I think this was Bart. You guys had a huge moment there.
Yeah. Bart and I, we've had a lot of wins together, you know, and the first year I played with Impact, you know, they hadn't won a lot. They won a few tournaments, right? But they'd been like second. And I always was able to find a win, maybe not a bunch, but I told Bart that year when he picked me up, I was like, Bart, I promise you we're going to win. And I was like, my goals is to win the US, you know, to win the series in the US, win the series in Europe. And there's supposed to be a third event. So I was like, let's get the Triple Crown like Dynasty did. Yeah. And then they didn't have the third event, but we ended up winning 3 of the 4 Europeans, almost had a flawless year. We lost one game to move on to top 4, and we got like 6th, or we got 5th, but we won the series. And then US, we won the series, won one event and got 2 seconds. And so we went to the lake house, and I made this plaque with our first place from Chicago with the pictures of us dumping beer on Bart and some medals. And I was like, I gave it to him. Like, hey, I told you I'm a man of my word. Here's this. So cool. We have a track record of like, 5 years of going on like a ridiculous run. We won 4 out of the 5 US, 4 of the 5 European series. We won a bunch of events. We had in 16, we made the finals every event. We won 3 events. So, and we've talked over the years, and about how things went and how things fell apart, and how maybe I on both sides, it wasn't just them, it was me. I explained how maybe I was difficult to deal with towards the end of the 18 season, and then yeah, and we would talk about, man, those were some great times, right? Like we had the Impact Series, we have all these things, so they're all in the back of your head, and you're like, it's like being in a music group and the band breaks up. You're not going to get back together. You're not going to make any more good tunes, but you always think about it. So now it's like we made it happen again this year. We got us back together, and then we the first event we got third. The second event didn't go well. Then the third event we didn't win, and it's like they hadn't won since 2022. And even though I won basically exactly a year ago, it still doesn't seem like I've won in a long, long time, and it didn't seem like I was ever going to win again.
Yeah.
So then I was like, we got the win, dude. We got the win. And so it just feels good to win with this group. And that was one of the things we were preaching, like, and Tyler brought it up, like, we wanted to win with this group.
Yeah.
There's some guys in paintball I've won a bunch with. And I told Tyler before the finals, I was like, you've been in paintball for, I don't know, 25, 30, for a long time. And so have I. And we battled and played against each other, but we've never won a tournament together. I was like, let's go win one today together. Let's go win one. So we got our first one, and man, it felt really good to win with that group.
Yeah, it was just such a special moment to witness. Like I've been out there, for 3 or 4 years at that exact moment, and teams celebrate it differently, but like there was just something different about watching you guys in that moment. I could just tell there was some type of special connection, and you could feel it, right? Like you could feel. It's not often that Bart smiles, right? So it's like to see him just be a kid out there, and like to have Dave let loose a little bit. It was such a cool moment to be a part of, and to see you guys come back together and finally get that trophy and some blood and some tears and some beer.
Yeah, Bart was juiced. I mean, he's juiced right now. Like
I bet
he was leading the charge. I talked to him in the tournament. I'm like, hey, make sure, like, in Team USA, we didn't do the best huddles, but I would tell Ryan, like, hey, let's do a huddle. And then, like, one of the ones we kind of didn't do it, but in Mexico we did it, and we were fired up.
Yeah.
And then, like, you could hear Canada doing they were beating the tables with their paintball guns like hockey sticks, singing "Oh, can," and it was so hypey. So I was like, okay, like we need to be loud in the pits, and the best person to lead it is the heart and soul of the team, and Bart. So Bart got us fired up before every match, made sure we were all mentally ready to go to war, and he is a huge reason this team wins and how well they do and success. And man, the guy truly loves the game of paintball, and like he breathes it.
Yeah, I mean, now there's pressure on to what that pump up is going to be for Cup. Like, I'm already excited thinking about that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Raney, this has been awesome, man. Thanks for coming on and breaking down the weekend and talking about where paintball we think is going to go. Right, like we've tried so many formats, but I think we're at a pinnacle now where this one camera could change the game forever. And I think you're at the forefront of that with what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I think all the formats are good. I like the changes. Like, I mean, ultimately now we get to play 3-man, 5-man. I think I signed up to play 10-man. So it's like, I'm not saying those aren't it, but like they could be it, but maybe they could be it with the camera, right? Like now we capture that moment because we have the camera, right? Whatever the moment is, we don't know what it is. Maybe the moment won't come for 2 years, but now we'll be prepared to capture whatever the moment is.
Yeah, totally. I think this is the next piece where I think we're going to start to see other divisional players, and hopefully more pros will start buying them and wearing them and sending you collaborations. So you have it on your all access paintball page and channel to get you more content out there too. I think it's going to be a great way for the future.
Totally.
I've ended all of my podcasts with a really cool way to tie in every guest. And what I do, so this is the one question that you don't know is coming. I had Greg on last week from the YouTube channel, How to Play Paintball. He's got 30 or 40,000 subscribers, and so like he's kind of the face of paintball, where like people go to YouTube to search and how to play paintball, and his face comes up. When he's not playing paintball, he's a teacher. I think he's a science teacher, and his question that he always asks his students that just creates a dialogue back and forth, which his question is for you, and he didn't know you were going to be on. Is water wet?
Is water wet? That's a trick question, because it's like You get wet from water, but is water wet? I mean, I wouldn't say water's not wet. So, I mean, I would have to say yes, but I feel like the answer is no. I don't know. I don't know. This feels like a trick question. You know, I'd like to see the multiple choices here. You know.
Yeah, totally. There's like a check all or yeah, he didn't give me the answer, and I think because it's one of those things that is debatable back and forth, right? I think I'm with you. I think I would probably say water is wet, even though it's like a compound or
I mean, like, if the opposite is like dry, you wouldn't say water is dry. You're like water is wet, but water is what it is. So it can't be wet or not wet. It's just it's water is water. So water is what it is, I guess.
Yeah. That'll be a fun question for you to bring to, like your next team huddles and team meetings and whatnot.
Yeah.
So the pressure's off. You get to leave a question for next week's guest without knowing who it is. And it could be anything. It's obviously this was not a paintball related question, but some people will ask very specific paintball related ones. And some people ask random questions like that.
Okay. So let me think here. So if whoever it is, would you play a game, a 5-on-5? I always ask you this. Would you play a 5-on-5 paintball game? First place is $5 million. So the team, each player gets $1 million. Each player. It's only 1 point, but you get no goggles. You're playing with your eyes free. Okay, but if you lose, you lose, and you get nothing. And if you win or you lose, you may lose an eyeball. But it's like, would you play that game?
Wow, it's almost like Squid Game's Risk kind of. Hey, what's the chance you're going to take on this?
Yeah, like, are you going to go to the snake and play scared, or do you go to the center 50 right off the break, come over the top shooting, zero fear? You know,
what's your answer to that?
I mean, I used to always say I'd play for the $1 million, but now, like, the older I get, oh man, I depends on who would agree to play with me. Like, if it was my guys this weekend, let's go. Like, if they all agree to play, like if I got T-Harm and all my guys, okay, let's rip it. But if it's like a hodgepodge of players, I'm like, ugh, I don't know if I want to risk my eyeballs for it.
Maybe that's the future of paintball right there. Maybe we just unlocked it.
Yeah, just the meta glasses.
Just the meta glasses, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great question. I'm excited to see how the guest answers it next week for sure. Nice. Hopefully it's not a manufacturer of like a paintball goggle, because then we know what the answer is going to be.
Yeah, they're like, don't do that, buy our goggles. Or maybe it gets the gears going and they're like, oh, maybe we'll just make this small goggle and people,
Yeah, there's something there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Raney, congratulations again. And to everyone else tuning in, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Shellda Podcast. And we'll catch you next week. See you.